أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي لا تؤاخذني مما يقولون واغفر لي ما لا يعلمون واجعلني خيرا مما يظنون أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to the House of Dua, and welcome to this special edition designed to remind ourselves of the need for us to save for the rainy day. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I'm sure you have heard that concept before, the idea of saving for the rainy day. Yes, it's important for us to learn how to save, because a day may come when it will rain so much that you won't be able to step out of the house to go to the bank and withdraw some money for expenses. Or a time will come when money will be in short supply and you'll be preoccupied with other things that you won't be able to go out. Or a time will come when your current source of income dries up and you now want to find something else to fall back upon. In such a situation, we are likely to fall back on our savings. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, but how many of us indeed actually save for the rainy day? Actually save for the occurrence of any eventuality? This is where the problem is. In today's life, many people are struggling. Across the world, the standard of living of the average human being on the planet has fallen below expectation, to the extent that people are struggling to meet up with their daily needs, especially feeding themselves 3 times a day. It has become a very difficult situation in some countries, partly because of the mismanagement of those countries by the leaders of those countries, and partly because of the general state of economy across the world. There are some people who have jobs, but their income is not enough to meet their daily requirements. Why? Because what they are being paid is far below what they are required to spend in order to live a good life. As a result of inflation across the world, the paycheck is becoming completely unable to carry people across the line. There is also the reason of people not having a regular source of income, like a paid job. In such a case, such people are struggling. Some have reduced themselves to begging in the world we live. This is a world in which we have millionaires and billionaires, and still, majority of people are struggling to survive. This is a very ugly situation. But when you look at it critically and you try to provide solutions to this, you find that there is also something wrong with many of us in our habits with financial management. You will find that there is something wrong with our financial management. We have the habit of not saving ahead of time. We have the habit of not saving for the rainy day. So when there is an occurrence of an event, maybe a sudden loss of job, maybe an accident, maybe something that takes you away from your regular source of income, then you get handicapped because there's nothing to fall back upon. But alhamdulillah, in some societies, especially in the Muslim countries, where one is the brother's keeper, there are people who could run to their brothers or sisters or nephews or nieces or even parents to ask for help. There is nothing wrong in that. And in fact, that is highly encouraged, because whatever you do to help those who are in need, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also help you. But my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, there is a fundamental missing link in the way we manage our income. Many people don't know how to save. Many people, as soon as they get their paycheck, they go on spending lavishly, and in some cases, in an extravagant manner. And before you know, their money runs out. Some of us also spend on capital items that have nothing to do with our basic survival, things that are capital intensive And when we spend a huge portion of our income on such items, we have very little to set aside for our daily requirements, such as feeding, such as going to the hospital, such as taking care of our family members. In that case, there's a problem. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, in the world we live today, therefore, there is the need for us to remind ourselves of the need to develop a saving culture. Each and every one of us needs to know how to save our income. There is a book known as Making the Billionaires. That book is all about how to save. It tells us that the average successful person must learn how to save at least 10% of his income against the rainy day, because you never know. Those who are billionaires today, many of them become what they are today because they know how to save. Initially, they didn't just become billionaires, but they struggle over time, learning how to save money ahead of time, and from there they're able to make it. But there are many of us who feel that, you know what, yeah, I have a steady job, therefore I will never run out of income. Or according to a popular saying, Allah will always provide. Yeah, Allah will provide, there's no doubt about that. But at the same time, He has taught us to learn how to save for the future, because any eventuality can happen. In addition to that, there are many of us who are so spendthrift. They are so extravagant. They waste their income. They cook more than they can eat. Even in our daily living, go to our homes. They turn on the television even if they are not watching. The lights are on 24 hours a day. They rush out to go to work. They forget to put off the security light outside. In some cases, the tap is flowing, and so on. You can go on naming them. But what is the financial implication of such negligence? It bites your pocket. It makes you poorer. Why will you put on the television that you are not watching? Why will you open your tap to be rushing at such a speed for just a little quantity of water you need for ablution? Why? Why will you leave your electricity running, not switched off? At the end of the month, you are the one who is going to be responsible for the bills. These are little things that add up to become a source of problem for us. And many of us complain about this. But Islam is such a beautiful religion that we are taught about this. Remember the Prophet's hadith on the use of water. We are required to purify ourselves before we worship. But that purification requires the use of water. And do you know that minimization of water in doing ablution or in doing ghusl is considered a fard, an obligatory responsibility? Why? In the time of the Prophet, water was not so easy to come by. Even in today's world, in some Middle Eastern countries, water is rationed every day. There are people who have no water to drink. But in your areas, you have water to waste. You leave your tap running while you rush to work. You come back, at the end of the month, a huge bill comes around. One day, the Prophet Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam was going around Medina, and he met a man known as Sa'd bin Sa'd, and he was making ablution and wasting water. And the Prophet asked him, what is this wastage all about? Why are you wasting this much of water to do your ablution? Then Sa'd asked the Prophet, is there any wastage involved in this? I'm doing my ablution, I'm not wasting water. The Prophet said, yes, you need to minimize the use of water. Even when you are living by a river which is flowing beside your house, you are not required to waste water. You should conserve water. That was a good advice given by the Holy Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Ta'ala Alaihi Wasallam. So, that advice runs across all the gamut of our life. In anything we do, we are expected to be prudent, to know how to manage our resources. Those who fail to establish that principle, they run into difficulties so quickly. There's just limit to what people can do for you to help you. You cannot beg somebody today, tomorrow you start begging again. That person will feel that you are a burden to him. The only person who will give you lavishly without record, bigeri kitab hisab, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who will continue to give to you without asking. But we as human beings, we have limitations. Therefore, do not put your burden on many people. Learn to conserve what you have so that you will always be able to spread out your resources for a considerable length of time for you and your family. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, on the other hand, there are those who do not have at all. Unfortunately, it's not because they don't make effort, but they have a situational disadvantage. It's not their fault. And so they are not able to make ends meet. Such people who are genuinely struggling, it's expected that we who have enough should be able to help such people to get up. The Prophet ﷺ says, Man nafasa mu'mina kurbata min kurabi dunya nafasahu lahu kurbata min kurabi akhir. Whoever is able to help a fellow human being by way of relief out of every difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also remove a difficulty or even much more from that person on the day of accountability. So it's important for us to help those who are in need. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, there are several verses in the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us against wasteful spending, against being spendthrift, for example. In Surah Al-Araf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya bani Adam, خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. O children of Adam, whenever you are going to the masjid to pray, wear your best dress. Look decent. Purify yourself. Shave yourself if you want to shave. Take a shower if you want to take a shower. Wear the best dress and go to the masjid. And then when you want to eat and drink if you want to drink. But Allah to sorry, don't waste. No, don't waste, because in the whole life you're able to Allah does not love those who waste. If you are wasteful, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says does not love those who are wasteful, why do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be generous towards you? Why do you think he will answer your supplications? Why do you think he will grant you more? So that's a simple message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that does not love those who are wasteful. There are many people across the world who have not got enough to eat. Check your waste bin. Look at the amount of food you dump there every day. You cook more than you can eat. And you waste. Whereas there are people who are hungry along the street. And even if people are not hungry along the street, what of the birds that are flying in the air? They are coming around looking for something to peck at. But you are wasting. That's not a good habit. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, wastefulness is also another reason why many of us run into hardship, because we waste the resources that we have. And these resources are not unlimited. They are not unlimited. Actually, they are in short supply. Unless you manage what you have in a very prudent manner, you are likely to run into difficulty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in Surah Al-Isra, وَآتِ ذَا الْقُرْبَى حَقَّهُ وَالْمِسْكِينَ وَابْنَ السَّبِيلِ وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينِ وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, give what is due to those who are close to you. Your acquaintances, help them. This is exactly what I'm saying. Help those who are near you if you have more than enough for yourself. But you are not required to give out your basic to those who are near you. That which is in excess, help other people with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remember to always discharge your duties to those who are close to you, including your neighbors physically. Do your duties towards them. And, do not engage yourself in being spendthrift, that is wasteful spending. Spending money on those things that you don't need. Take a look at your wardrobe. How many clothes are there you have not used for the past 5 years? How many pairs of shoes are there you have not used for the past 5 years? We keep buying every day. But there's somebody who has no pair of shoes on his feet. Why don't you give out one as sadaqah so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you? Why don't you create a vacuum in your home first before you think of filling that vacuum? Help other people. This is the moment, especially that the world we live today is in a dire state. People are not able to help themselves. You can help others. That will help you to achieve the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, those who are spendthrift are actually brothers of the devils. And of course, the devil is a rejecter of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, to be spendthrift, that is to be wasteful in your spending, is a devilish attitude. It's a sinful behavior. and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not be happy with you. So if you commit that sin of being wasteful with your income, spending lavishly when you don't need to, then of course, how do you expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be nice to you? So that's why it's important for us to remind ourselves of this today, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. I want to draw your attention to Surah Yusuf, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us the principle of savings. Many a time we read this surah, we don't pay attention to them. Let's go back to Surah Yusuf, verses 43 up to verse 49, and see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ إِنِّي أَرَىٰ سَبْعَ بَقَرَاتٍ سِمَانٍ يَأْكُلُهُنَّ سَبْعٌ عِجَافٌ وَسَبْعَ سُنبُلَاتٍ خُضْرٍ وَأُخَرَ يَابِسَاتٍ يَا أَيُّهَا الْمَلَأُ أَفْتُونِي فِي رُؤْيَايَ إِن كُنتُمْ لِلرُّؤْيَا تَعْبُرُونَ. One day the king of Egypt had a dream in which he saw 7 lean cows feeding on 7 fat cows. And he also saw 7 cups of grains, something like corn or things like that. He saw 7 of them that are fresh and 7 of them that are dry. So he was wondering, what kind of dream was this? What does it mean? So he called on those who were his chiefs, the sorcerers, those who were magicians, who were called the specialists of dream interpretation of the time. He told them, please give me the meaning of this dream. Give me the meaning of this dream because I'm scared. Because I know definitely that you are all very careful with dream interpretation. You know it more than I do. So when the dreams was reported to the magicians or to the sorcerers, they told the king right away, this is a confusing dream. We are not capable of interpreting this kind of confusion in your dream. So this was beyond our capacity. And then king was told that there was somebody who could interpret the dream. The king asked them to bring Yusuf to interpret the dream. So they went to the jail where Yusuf was serving a jail term that he didn't deserve. They went there to report to him. The messenger of the king got there and addressed Yusuf. Yusuf, ayuha siddiqo, aftina fi sab'i bakaratin simalin yakuluhunna sab'un hijafun وسبع سنبلات خضر وأخر يابسات لعلي أرجو إلى الناس لعلهم يعلمون. He got to Yusuf and told Yusuf, oh Yusuf, the man of truth, I need you to interpret this dream for me so that I can report back to the people what it meant. قال تزرعون سبع سنين دابا فما حصدتم فذروه في سنبله إلا قليلا مما تأكلون. Yusuf told them that the meaning of the dream was that 7 years were coming, and those 7 years there will be plenty of rain and the agricultural output will be so high. They will have enough, more than enough to eat. ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك سبع شداد يأكلن ما قدمتم لهن إلا قليلا مما تحسنون. For that 7 years will be accompanied by another 7 years. And when those 7 years come, there will be 7 years of drought and there will be no production. Therefore, only those who were able to save during the first 7 years of abundance will have enough to eat when the 7 years of drought came about. Then he said, Fumayati mibadeza alika amun fihi yugathu nas fihi yarithun. After the second 7 years of drought, then there will be a year in which rain will come in abundance and they will have enough to eat. And dear brothers and sisters in Islam, this teaches us the principle of savings. The principle of savings. When you are having it in abundance, there's need for you to save a little portion. Don't eat everything, because at the end of the day, when the dry moment comes or when the time of short supply comes, You will not have anything to fall back on if you didn't save in the time of goodness, in the time of abundance. This is the lesson we learn from this revelation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us how to save and how the people of Egypt were encouraged to preserve their products so that they will be able to have something to eat when the moment of test comes about. In life, there's always good, there's always bad. Some moments are good, some moments are bad. It cannot all be rosy. Therefore, we have to be ready to prepare for the rainy day. That is why we are bringing this reminder to you today, so that all of us will learn to save for the rainy day. In the world we live today, that is very important. Otherwise, many of us will run into difficulties that will be difficult for us to come out of. You cannot continue to depend on people forever. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our lives good. Take shaitan away from our lives and take our life far away from the shaitan. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Alhamdulillah.